There I go. There I be. There he is. There he is. There you go. Oh, the short, tall, short. Where we going? Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Get him in there. Oh boy. Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy DP Brown. Happy Thanksgiving. You're seeing like all the stuff on the screen there as far as like the pumpkins, the flower, I mean the trees, all the Thanksgiving stuff and everything you're seeing right there. But I see right now it's also blocking my name. All right, so let's get that off the screen. There we go. There we go. There we go. It's your friendly neighborhood DP Brown, the writer and creator of the Theme of Thieves. And I guess I'm solo tonight. All right. So Marvin, he has some stuff to he's going on a cast later and everything. We may have like a guest star later, with Alpha Page, talk about his beer and bullets. So we'll see. We'll see if we could get to it, see if everything, gets on and stuff. But if not, then we'll preview a little bit of it and then get him back on, when the next time we have like a show and everything. But want to first of all, thank you guys for coming on with us and everything. We got more views from the second episode than the first. Going from the first to the second episode. So I want to thank you guys for sharing, for liking, for making sure that people know about this from script to store thing that we're doing. So we definitely appreciate you. Definitely want to give yourself a hand, making sure that you guys are knowing and checking us out to basically educate people on how to make comics and everything, on how to get your comic out there, to go from scratch to from having it in your head to down on paper to actually getting it out there for like the world to see and everything. So basically, we're Comicsburgh. We're a group of creators. We have different comic books in our stable, from the Theme of Thieves, Memoirs of the Morbid, the Edge stuff, Herrenberg, Trillion. We got like the Beowulf. We got like a bunch of different stuff out there and everything. So Incubator Productions. So everybody that's up under us, thank you for putting your stuff out there and representing Comicsburgh. Anytime we go to a convention, we make sure that you're knowing the brand, you're seeing everything that's out there that we have to do with, and we're just shaking hands and kissing babies. Maybe not kissing babies, but we want to make sure that you guys are. Yeah, that's it. Don't want to necessarily do that and everything. So get the permission of the parent first kiss the babies and stuff. But so basically want to do some house cleaning. Today we're going to basically talk about three things, three keys to basically you see it down in the ticker right there. 3 tips to perfecting comic page pencils, inks, and colors in your comic book, panel and page breakdown and everything. So we're basically going to talk about that tonight. How get some house cleaning stuff out the way. Make sure that you guys are going to comicsburgh.com. All right. That's your favorite website where you get all things Comicsburgh related. Everything that has to do with my comic Theme of Thieves, The Edge from Marvin, Beowulf, Memoirs of Morbid from Grant Lankard. We get like Daisy Chain, Beer and Bullets, from Alfred Page. Anything that has to do with Comicsburgh, Herrenberg stuff, Manny Thainer. Anything that has to do with Comicsburgh stuff, that we are there. So make sure that you're going on to comicsburgh.com. Make sure that you're following us all on social media. We're all over social media. We're on X. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere that we are on social media. Follow us at Comicsburgh. Make sure that you find us and follow us. Find and follow. Find and follow. Find and follow. Because we want to make sure that you guys are, getting us all, making sure that and everything that what we have to do with this stuff. Also, make sure that you guys send us some feedback at info@comicsburgh.com. We always love getting your feedback on anything that we have to do. If you have questions on some of the stuff that we present here on the From Script to Store series, we love to answer those questions for you, give little tidbits and everything that stuff that we experienced during the creation of this stuff. We'll be going through like the whole gamut, guys. We'll be going through like from creating a comic, that we did on like parts 1 and 2. So make sure that you're going back and checking those episodes out. We talked about, page breakdowns. We talked about dialogue. We talked about, how to set up your page and everything, all that stuff. So make sure you check out the first 2 episodes, and we'll be going through like everything from, going to like conventions, setting up your Kickstarters and everything, making sure that, you're setting your emails and up. That's another thing I want to actually reference too when we get into it. Make sure that you're getting your email list together and everything, because that's going to be a very important thing coming down the line and everything. So make sure that you're sending us some feedback at info@comicsburgh.com. We got a podcast too. So I want to definitely, we got a podcast now. So it's all gravy and everything. So make sure that you guys are going to Apple Podcasts and also on Spotify. Right now, we'll soon be on other podcast platforms and everything, like Odyssey, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. But for right now, we are on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts with our with our stuff. So make sure that you're following us. Stuff that we talk about on here. Basically, we're going to do like an audio feed for the podcast and everything. So definitely, check all that out. What else we got? We got like a lot of stuff going on and everything. So make sure that you guys are supporting your public library for us. I'll remind you at the end, because that's very important. We want to make sure that we're supporting that. Tonight, I want to basically talk about, like I said, from the 3 tips on perfecting your comic page pencils, inks, and colors. All right. So basically, one of the first things that you want to make sure that you know about when you're perfecting your comic page and everything, you want to make sure that you have like strong visual storytelling structure. Okay. So this is up to you if you actually want to do, and like doing like thumbnails and everything. Basically, thumbnails are where the entire, project flows and everything. For like pacing and clarity, and it's where the page is particularly born. So think of it as like a director's storyboard, and it may be small, messy, but definitely powerful enough for you to convey what you need right on the page and everything. Okay. What to focus on in like the thumbnail stage, if you decide to do thumbnails, and I'll explain the pros and cons of doing thumbnails and everything after this. Make sure that the thumbnails are there to make sure that you got a good panel count for like arrangement. You want to choose the layouts that support like the emotional beat of the page. The thumbnails help you choose like camera angles. So you want to see which way that you can position the camera based on the way that you want your character to be positioned. If they're talking to somebody at a table, if they're conveying like in an action scene and everything. You want to make sure that whatever thumbnail that you're putting down there, especially if you're like the writer and creator like myself, you want to make sure that you can convey to the artist exactly how you want the page to come. If you're a big control freak, you may want to you may love thumbnails because it gives you an exact way for the artist to actually it gives a good guide for the artist to actually go to when it comes to doing like the thumbnails and everything, and actually drawing like the stuff that you see like on your page and stuff. Thumbnails can be really great for like close-ups for emotion, mid shots for action, wide shots for establishing space. Okay. So, and the thumbnails don't have to be necessarily detailed and stuff, because that's what you got the artist for. So if you're not a big, drawer like myself and everything, or artist like myself, if you have a house on the screen and you want to draw some trees, just draw like a box with a triangle, with some, trees and everything right behind it, and you can give the artist a visual display of what you're actually looking for. Let the artist finish and fill in basically everything that you want as far as like the page is concerned. Okay. And the thumbnails are basically there for like reading flow. Yeah, it makes you and make sure that the eyes are can move naturally from like left to right, which is the way the comic book goes. It sort of like leaves out, so the reader won't have like confusion on where to actually look. You got a lot of first-time comic book readers out there, even after all this time comic books have been around, that don't know how to read a comic. Starting out from the left, going to the right and everything, then going down, going back to the left, then to the right, and going down, back to the left, going to the right, all the way down to the page until they get to the next page. The thumbnails also, you want to have them not leave negative space. Okay, make sure that the thumbnails are actually there to create room so the art doesn't get buried later. Okay, so even though that you're doing thumbnails, you're excited for the art and for the artist to do all like the artwork and everything. You want to make sure that they have enough space for your dialogue. If you're the creator, you want your words to shine and everything. So you got to make sure that if you are putting thumbnails together for an artist, you're leaving like the space there for the words to come across and come alive and everything. Why is this stage so crucial? If storytelling doesn't work at the thumbnail stage, adding detail won't fix it. So great page always starts tiny. So, thumbnails are like, very tiny, small and everything, but they grow into something bigger once they get to the artist. And then once the whole layout finishes and everything, it becomes like a beautiful thing and stuff. So that's like the first thing. So basically, I want to show you some like examples when we go to like the second, aspect. So let's go to like number 2. You want to make sure that you have clear panel action and character blocking, as far as like the pencils. So let's go to like one of my pages here. So we shall look at this. This is basically a Photoshop, page that my artist Dan INKS done. It's page 16 of the Theme of Thieves. And basically, okay, you're just seeing like the blank page here, right? So you're like, DP, what's going on? So I'm just seeing like a blank page and everything. So what I'm basically about to show you, let me see if I can get this bigger for you guys. Okay, so yeah, I'll keep myself on the screen. I always got to do that. So with the blank page here, once you got your thumbnail solid, and pencils are what makes clarity and precision take over. What matters in the pencil stage, you want to have basically clean, readable acting and everything. So I'm going to show you guys what's done once we get like the blank page on the screen. So you want to make sure that you got your panels. Okay. So my artist, well, to back up a little bit here, I don't necessarily do thumbnails per se. I tried to do thumbnails in the beginning, but it wasn't really working because it took so long for me to convey what I wanted and to get my stuff to the artist. My artist came back to me and said, DP, stop. I don't necessarily need you to do the art, do the thumbnails. Give me the descriptions of the panels and I'll go ahead and do the art. So fortunately, he was gracious enough and is talented enough to actually be able to interpret everything I'm saying description wise and convert and convey it to what he actually wants, what I want to see like on page and everything. So even though I'm a control freak to a degree and everything, it was such a relief to have him actually say, I'll take care of from here. You're the writer, go ahead and make the pages. And I'll go ahead and I'll go from there as far as the panel conveying everything on page. So with Dan, he broke down like the panel. So page 16 here basically has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 panels. You're like, okay, well, why do I necessarily need all those panels? So we'll see in a minute here. So you got like the panels, and on this page we'll show like a little bit of like the inks and the pencils. So while this doesn't necessarily show like the pencils, we pretty much go straight to the inks. Okay, so if we want to get like a little wider as far as like what we see on like the page, like I was telling you before, we got like a house right on the screen here. So we got like a house at the first panel. And in certain instances, you may, like I said, in the thumbnail stage, just want to create like a box and some trees and stuff, if you're not a really great, artist and everything, and, just convey it right there. So here you have the house and the first panel of the page and everything. And this is one of my characters, Jason Gable. On page 16, he's basically playing video games and everything. He's going through waiting to, go to school and stuff. So, he takes time to, like, play video games and everything. And you may ask why does this second and third panel sort of like look the same? So when we get to like the word balloons, you actually see how it all actually gets together. And I'll get to word balloons on pages next week. Okay. Next episode and everything. But essentially you have like just a straight pencils inks with this page and everything. So the first, second, and third panels basically show you got the establishing shot that we talked about. You got like the introduction of the character, Jason, the action of what he's actually doing, playing video games. And then you got the part two of the action. His dad comes in the room really, angry because Jason has his headphones on. All right. So his dad, so he's not really hearing his dad, yell at him to come downstairs to get ready for school. And his dad being what his dad is and everything. In panel 5 here, you sort of have him knocking the headphones right off Jason and everything. And then you see the other panel down here with him stomping on the stomping on the headphones in sort of like a really, aggressive type of manner and everything. Being a dad, his dad is sort of like, real, could be verbally abusive and everything, and not really mean to his son and stuff. And then his dad is just yelling, and then Jason is sort of like being real humble and everything based on the stuff that we're seeing as far as his dad. So that's the gist of the page. But once we get to like adding to like some of the detail and everything from it, we have like a little bit of a shadow detail that sort of Dan actually added to add detail to the page. So you see like streaks and everything to show like motion, for the for when Jason's dad, Ray, he comes and slaps the headphones right off. And then you get like some sort of shadows and everything. So you'll see that. And then I'm gonna add the shadows in here, some more shadows and everything. And we sort of like get some dialogue to where it could potentially go to. So this isn't the final dialogue and everything to the page, but you'll see down here in like the 7th panel, you'll see like the panel here where the dialogue could potentially go. So when we're talking about having space, making sure space is available, space right here, you're not having any dialogue, and then you're seeing like the dialogue there. So we want to make sure that we have enough space to where, if you want your dialogue to shine, this is where you put it at and everything. So Jason's dad is just basically yelling at him, and here we got like, what he's actually saying, to Jason. And the 8th panel is here. It's basically Dave's Jason and his dad his dad talking to him, off panel and everything. All right. So basically you got like those panel breakdowns and like the page and ink breakdowns and stuff. If we want to add like the visual effects, this is basically the light coming into the window, but we'll do that once we get to, to like the colors. All right. So, but yeah, so basically, you got like the panel to panel continuity, body positions, props, backgrounds, lighting, everything that must carry through the like within like your whole panel breakdown. Foreground and background separation, what we're seeing, helps the reader. Let me take that down for you. So basically, helps the reader, know where to actually look first. Okay, where to look first as far as the establishing shot. And it goes from, left to right, like I was talking about. And precise detail placement is key. These scenes at the top basically convey Jason, playing video games. We see like the controller in his hand, and basically him playing games and stuff. So you want to basically make sure that the reader knows exactly what this character is doing with the headphones on this thing. So the key goal to this stage is to make sure an editor or reader knows fully understand the scene with no text at all. So the pencils and the inks, the pencils are basically the backbone of clarity and everything. Okay. Okay, so let's get to like the number 3. Okay, so number 3 basically gets to like the final move, focus, and depth, the inks and the colors. So what you're seeing right here is basically the finished inks for the page and stuff. Okay. Um, so basically we're seeing like everything that's being on top of the pencils. We're seeing like the inks. Um, Actually, let me show you like another page. I can do like another page for you guys to actually see too. So you'll get a gauge. So here again, we have like a no page, and then we're gonna shoot the panels in and everything, and then we're gonna shoot like the the yeah, the pencils and the inks and everything. This is another page. It's page 28 of the same comic. Jason is basically at school right now, so he's actually survived his dad and actually went to school and stuff. So now he's talking to like a very pretty girl, in school, and she's giving him attention, and he's not really expecting it. He's happy and surprised by it, so he's liking that. So and we'll add some shadows in, so you're seeing some of that, and then we're seeing like also the dialogue. So this is dialogue to let the letterer know this is where the space is, the spacing is, as far as like what the characters are actually going to say to each other and how to avoid them actually covering the action of the main meat of the screen and everything. So you're seeing like pretty much all that. So let's take the dialogue away again. All right, and let's go back to page 16 and punch in the colors. All right, so this is what the full color detail looks like, man. So we got like the full colors going on, like right there. Beautiful thing. All right, so we got like the colors going on here. So basically, when we get to like the color stage, the colors basically, this is basically the last stages that determine how dramatic, atmospheric, or intense each panel feels. So we want to make sure that you got like the right shadowing and everything going on. You want to make sure that you got like the right feel, so the reader can actually know and actually be into the action when they're reading the actual dialogue from the page. So the inks bring out like the line weight, so the thicker for like the foreground, thinner for like the background. It brings like shadow and light texture and structures. So rough strokes for chaos, clean lines for like, calm moments and stuff. The color brings, like I said, the mood and emotional focus, and controls like through saturation and contrast, the time of day, environment, and storytelling cues and transitions. And the goal of the inks and colors is basically to enhance a reader's emotional response when their eyes are guided to exactly what you want them to see on the page. Okay, so as you're seeing, this this particular page right here, like I said, page 16 of the Theme of Thieves, we basically got like a good clean shot, and it was done. The colors are done by Alex Zieff, who's done like my first 2 issues of the Theme of Thieves. So look at the really great character renderings and stuff. I'm sorry, the color renderings and stuff. So really good, solid colors. So, Jason, it gives you a full perspective of everything that's going on in the scene. He has like his typical teenager stuff in the background, stuff right on the wall, his posters and everything. We see like the color of the headphones, him holding the controller, and how the light is coming through the window, being at morning time and everything to convey that it's morning. And then we see his dad, we see like the shadow and everything of the light coming through the door, coming through the window and everything in the morning. So you got like the shadow right here, and his dad, stomping on like the screen and everything. I'm sorry, the headphones. And for those who are actually listening to us on podcasts, I encourage you to, if you're listening to us on podcasts, I'm doing my best to try to like, give you a good visual description of everything. But go on to the website, go on to like the YouTube and on Facebook, and hit that follow button and smash that subscribe button, so you can actually see exactly what's going on. So you can actually get a gauge of how these pages look. All right. So you got like the see how the effect, the effects are like the light is coming like through the window right here. Okay. So, my colorists, they basically give like a good separation, and you get this through like, Photoshop and everything, because you can pretty much do everything in layers, So it used to be where, comic, for Photoshop, you just had to do things in like, 1-2D type thing. But with Photoshop, Illustrator, and other programs, you're able to actually do this in like layers and everything. So if you need to change something at a later time, you can actually do that. And it makes a really good way for you to edit in real time, if you can't do everything all in one shot. So, the main thing about pencils, it locks in, lock in the acting environment and makes the panels readable. Okay. And it adds mood, polish, and depth to like the final polish and everything. Right. So I'm gonna show also like the dialogue that could potentially go. So we would get balloons and everything associated with this. It actually looks kind of good without the balloons, but we got to have balloons to convey what the character is actually saying and all that stuff. So you actually be able to see. But this is what the page will look like. Okay. And just imagine the balloons around that. And like I said, I'll get the balloons like next week. Let's go to like page 28. We see like Nakia, she's talking to Jason right here. So like I said, he finally made it to school. So let's see what it looks like with like the full colors. Bam, full color. Alex, you did such a wonderful job, fully color this thing. It's just a beautiful thing to actually see, Right. So you're actually seeing everything that's going on with like the colors and stuff. So like the shadows and everything under Jason's. Okay, we'll have Paige on in a second here. So we got like shadows and everything right here for Jason. We got like the shadows for Nakia right here. And then I'm also going to show you like the let me see here. Let me show you like the dialogue that'll come. So this is what the potential dialogue looks like for the page. This is not how the complete, final, product of it, but this is generally everything that that I have going on into the dialogue on the page. And you see, the Dan made enough space for it for the dialogue to be, its own thing, so it won't clutter or cover all the action that's going on within like the dialogue and stuff. So yeah, basically that. Let me pretty much go ahead and give you guys that. And yeah, this is like page breakdowns and everything. I'm gonna remove the dialogue here, and basically you're basically seeing like everything that comes along with like these three main keys to actually make your page look pop, make it actually look really good and everything. So the big thing, like I said, make sure that your page has strong visual storytelling structure. If you're going to do thumbnails, make sure the thumbnails are solid. Make sure that, number two, that you have clear panel action and character blocking. Shows you where to put the characters in the panel to make sure that there's enough space for like, the balloons, word balloons and everything, dialogue and everything for the page. And then finally, the final mood, focus, and depth. The colors show and the ink, the kinks and colors basically show like the emotional, the resonance and everything. It shows like the theme of like the actual page itself, so the characters can actually come across, because they're static characters, they're not moving and everything while you're looking at a page. But so the colors have to be really solid, the inks have to be really solid for you to actually be able to convey what you see right there on the screen and stuff. So yeah. So this is basically, what we got as far as like, basically the 3 tips to perfecting, your comics page, inks and colors and everything. So I want to thank you guys for, checking that out. I want to bring Paige on here now. So let's give a big shout out to Paige and everything. So Paige, what's going on, man?
Good evening. How you doing?
We got you on here finally.
I gotta get one of those hats, man.
Hey, it's a thing, man.
I just gotta get me one of those hats.
Hey, go ahead and get you one. Sport one. You know, it's free for you to use, Paige. It's free for you to use and everything. Go down there. You're in Florida, right?
Yes, sir.
And it may be too hot for Florida. I don't know. But if they wear them in Texas and everything, it probably is good enough in Florida, huh?
Yeah, you know, style don't have no heat.
The style don't have no heat. Hey, I heard that. This is Alfred's Page, guys, from Page One Comics. You know, he's also affiliated with Comicsburgh and everything. You know, he had done like the Footpath Kickstarter that we talked about. You know, he's done several stuff like Blowtorch, Daisy Chain. You know, Paige, tell him a little bit about yourself and what you got going on.
And as D Brown said, I'm the writer for Page One Comics and Chest and following projects, and that's it. I'm part of Comicsburgh. I'm down with Marvin, and it's an incredible ride, an incredible family that we got going on here.
Yeah, we trying to make it happen and everything. So, you know, Paige had another successful Kickstarter and everything, you know, last month. So, you know, congratulations to you know, to him for, you know, making sure that with Comicsburgh, we always, you know, try to just make it just pop and everything, right?
Correct.
So yeah, congrats on you for like another, you know, good Kickstarter and everything. We can't wait to actually see this stuff, you know, get into my hands and everything, you know.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, we just had 2 successful Kickstarters. So we had the obviously the Footpath one, the Footpath one that was successful, and the month before that we had the Beer and Bullets. Okay, that was successful.
Beer and Bullets, man. Okay, so yeah, Beer and Bullets. So actually, we're going to end up talking about tonight. You know, Beer and Bullets, another, you know, Comicsburgh, you know, comic coming at you guys and everything. So I do have, you know, some, you know, your stuff from there and everything. So let's try to get that on screen. Let me stop the screen for this and get Beer and Bullets on here. Hey, come on now. Let's see. There we go. There we go.
There it is.
Look at it. Woo. Okay.
Now, Beer and Bullets is a collaboration between 3 creators: myself, Alfred Page at Page One Comics, Tony Cottrell at Advent Comics, Malcolm McFadden at 615 Comics.
Okay.
And we decided to just, it's a fun project. It's a one shot. But the question was, what makes, you know, our characters, even though our characters have similar, you know, attributes in comic books, right? Mm-hmm. You know, they've all got attitude. They all, you know what I'm saying? So the only way to separate them is to put them together in a one shot. So you could actually feel the difference about, even though all the characters got their, you know, their way of handling things. Mm-hmm. Mentally, they have a different grasp on how they do things. So
is this like we had a good time. Yeah, so is this like a crossover, basically one shot comic where everybody just comes together and it's just
basically just a one shot. This is a one shot crossover comic with the 3 characters fighting this who's the villain is a villain called Phantom Tech. You can see him right there on the cover. Mm-hmm. So,
all right. Yeah. Let's preview a little bit of this and everything. Just gotta love the artwork. Who did the artwork on here, buddy?
Serge De Lima. Incredible. Man. Serge De Lima did the artwork. Matthias Hoof did the colors. Letter Squid did the letters.
All right. So yeah, we got.
So first off, say again. No.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So first off, I like the way Malcolm McFadden of 615 Comics did the final presentation and setup. He did an incredible job, and I love the fact that he added the 3 characters in the beginning, so you at least know who's who when you get into the story. So that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, this is really smooth. So we got like Dalton Malone, you know, one of the characters.
That's right.
You know, former assignment, Bravo Company, 3rd Battalion, 7th Ranger Regiment, and then we got, you know, his skills and everything. We got Codename Pinpoint. All right, association with chess. That's one of your comics and teams and everything. Chess, right?
That's correct. That's my character, Pinpoint.
Okay, all right. And we have Subject Zero, aka Black Plague. All right. You said they got the 3 character descriptions in the beginning, so you know exactly what you're getting into when you open the comic. And then this is like the first. Is this a first page?
Yes, it is. This starts it off.
Okay.
So in essence, what's happening is, I'm sorry, say again.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us a little bit more about Beer and Bullets here.
In essence, the comic book is the 3 characters meeting up at a bar and having a beer, swapping stories until they are attacked by the Phantom Tech character. And he ends up fighting all 3 of them, which is not a good idea. So, but it's a fun read. It's the action levels. We went really big with the action. And the format was, in these first 5 pages, you see what Pinpoint did all week. You see, it says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you get an idea of this guy's life throughout the week. You know what I mean? So busy. On Monday he's jumping off roofs. Tuesday he's fighting the bear. Wednesdays he's in the snow mountains, and the next day he's fighting an army. So this is what he goes through throughout the week.
Wow.
So when it gets time to have a second, this is what he does. I need a beer. I had enough.
Drink.
I need a drink. And he goes to this bar. This bar is called the Crossover Bar.
Okay.
So
that's a good thing to name the bar, Crossover Bar.
Yeah. The Crossover Bar, incredible. And Malone walks in behind Pinpoint. They know each other, so he's like, can I sit here? Pinpoint, one of the reasons I love writing Pinpoint. It's not the guns, it's not the explosions, it's the attitude. I love the attitude persona that you could put him in any situation and he still holds that. You know what I mean? So his attitude is almost like a superpower. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
And then Subject Zero walks in. Same thing. Can I sit here? They both say no. This seat taken? They both say yes or something like that. So, and then they're down there. Yeah, they're down there, and now the conversation starting. They jumping at each other, like guys do. They're jabbing at each other. Like he's like, did you tell Deborah how you feel? And the other one's like, man, you run, you fight armies and do this and do that, but you're scared to tell a woman how you feel. And he's like, funny. You know what I mean? It's a basic conversation 3 guys would have in a bar. You know what I mean? So then you have if you go back, there's a part there that Pinpoint says, well, since you're here, why don't you tell me what you did this week? Tell me what you did this week. And Subject Zero starts the conversation. This is what I did this week, and then it goes into a 5-page spread of what he did this week. And that Subject Zero's 5 days. He took out like a new group threat. Jumping out of fire. He's he's a little bit more than human. So he has like a healing factor. He's an efficient killer. And then you get back after the 5 days, after Subject Zero's story, and Pinpoint's like, hey, yeah, that should sound like a vacation. This guy just gave you a story about him killing this guy and slashing this guy's head off, and at the end of it, Pinpoint looks at him and says, it sounds like a vacation. Then he goes, Malone, what did you do this week? Maybe you got a better story. You know what I mean? And Then Malone goes into what he did, a 5-day spread of what he did, which is save these girls from sex trafficking.
Okay.
Right in his neighborhood, the Heights.
How many pages is this?
I believe it's 36. I believe.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so he saved these girls from a sex trafficking operation. And at the end of his story, you see that it's a different response because Pinpoint is like, I need to go shoot them just on principle. And Subject Zero is like, I would love to cut their heads off. You know what I mean? So you get a moment of emotion because due to the topic of what Malone's talking about.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you get emotion, you get a moment of emotion. Then that goes away in the next page because these guys come, they tracking down Subject Zero, this army. And they got this new character, Phantom Tech, that they brought in to take Subject Zero out. It just so happens that he's in the bar with Pinpoint and Malone at the same time.
Hey, this looks awesome, man. The art and everything just pops. Everything just pops off screen. The action is just like there. I don't want to go all the way to the end and reveal everything that happens in the comic because we want people to go out there and buy and get the comic and everything. But
yes, sir.
Page, this looks like it's some really action heavy, and the premise is just great because you got 3 guys that are basically action oriented coming into a bar having a beer. Swapping stories and stuff, and just basically just what they call it, getting together, just just networking and everything, just
that's correct.
Connecting. That's the word I want to use. Connecting.
One of the readers, AJ Filler, had the perfect description. It's a working man's comic book because we all can relate to. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, hey man, I'm going by the bar. You all can relate to that premise. So he called it the working man's comic book. So
the working man's comic book. There you go. Bill and Bullets, the working man's comic. So man, if that's not a good selling point, I don't even know what it is. The working man's comic, Beer and Bullets. So anybody that's a working man that's into comics, that should be able to definitely enjoy this. It's a really good. It looks like it's a really good read.
Yes. Yeah. The reviews on it been fantastic. The majority of reviews is I love it. The excitement. And we're very happy with that product. Okay. And also a shout out to the other people that worked on it with the covers like Edson Isles, Tommy Shelton, Serge DeLama, Matthew Hughes, and there's people that just contributed to the book with artwork and colors and something like that. So thank you to the whole team. And like I said, Malcolm McFadden did a fantastic job putting it together. And it is now on sale at 615 Comics as well. So if you did not get it through the Kickstarter, it's on sale now. So if you did not get it through the Kickstarter, you could go to 615 Comics to their web store and pick one up, PDF or print.
Go to 615 Comics.
Go to their web store, correct?
Okay.
Yeah, go to their web store. And it's on sale. You could buy a PDF or the print, depending on which one, how you like to read the comic books. Me, I need the physical copy, so I always go for the print.
Gotta have a physical copy, man.
Yeah, I gotta have the physical copy. I have to
for your collection and everything. Some things are good to read in digital and everything, but the stuff that you actually just want to have in your hand and everything, you can't really beat that.
Yeah, we call this the read comic book. You got the comic book that you read over and over and over. We feel like this is what that comic book falls into. It's the comic book that you're going to read more than once. You're going to read it over and over.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. I can't wait for people to actually see it. Like Paige said, Alfred said, if you didn't get it in the Kickstarter and everything, this is definitely a good way for you to get it by going to 615 Comics. And It's a working man's comic, you say, right?
It's a working man. By the description of one of the readers, AJ Fuller, he called it. This is a working man's comic book.
A working
and
man's comic,
I love that
man.
description. I love that description because whether you're Pinpoint or Subject Zero or Dog Pound or Alfred Page, at the end of the day, at the end of the week, after you're working all week, you know what I mean, stop in for a drink. That's a national man's thing. So get together with your friends, stop by a bar or something, just chill out for a second, a moment of peace. And you get very upset when that gets interrupted. So, it's called, I like the description of a working man's comic book because it's so relatable in that aspect. I mean, it's a comic book, of course, there's explosions and adventure and all types of craziness, but the premise is so relatable that it makes the comic book make complete sense.
Hey, guys, you got to go out and get it. Make sure that, and it'll eventually end up being in all the shops and everything for you. So, like Paige said, if you didn't get it in the Kickstarter, go to the comic, 615 Comics, order your copy so you can get it into your hands. And then we'll eventually, get it into the stores nationwide so you guys can actually get it, So
that's correct.
This is a beautiful thing to see and everything. Love the cover, love everything about like the whole concept and everything. Like Paige said, it's a working man's comic. So if you're an everyday person just trying to, make it through the day and everything, come that weekend, read the comic, then go to the bar, get yourself some beer.
That's right. The title says it all: beer and bullets, and that's all the comic books are about. Some beer, and at the end, when you mess up the beer, you get the bullets. So that's all it is.
You get the bullets and everything. Oh man! All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and previewing beer and bullets and everything for us. So we definitely thank you for that. All right.
And again, just to shout out some of the projects that are coming up. I know a lot of people got the Chest Edge Phantoms crossover in the last campaign. We did have a mess up with it, but now everything's back on track. The comic book is coming to print, and it will be a bonus. We're going to add a bonus cover. A bonus cover to it, to the new Edge Kickstarter. So if you're on Comicsburgh or Marvin, he has a brand new Kickstarter coming up for Edge. I think Edge issue 12. The Chest Edge crossover limited cover, bonus cover will be added to that Kickstarter as a bonus cover. So you have to not only sign up for his new Kickstarter, you have to pledge as well when the Kickstarter goes live. So look out for that. And that's finally coming. And again, like he mentioned, like Dog Pound mentioned, Footpath is in the works. And then the Footpath will be involving her own crossover early 2026 as well. So
all right, awesome. Speaking of the Edge and everything, yep, we got like the Edge coming out pretty soon here. The Edge Volume 3, God's Thunder. So
that's right.
Kickstarter coming up and everything. Who is Kyrad? That's the biggest question that they're asking. Who's Kyrad? So we got like 39 followers on this, so we want to get more followers. So make sure that you're going on Kickstarter, following. Make sure that you're checking us out. Smash that subscribe button. Also hit that notification button. So anytime that we're on, that we're on. Make sure that if you're loving anything Comicsburgh, you're going to Comicsburgh.com. You're following, Paige, you're following, Marvin, you're following Grant, you're following anybody who's doing like, Comicsburgh related stuff. You're following your boy, DP Brown, at Dog Pound Brown, all over social media and everything. Excuse me. Obviously make sure that you're going to Comicsburgh.com. Make sure that you're leaving us some feedback at Comicsburgh.com. We always love getting your, feedback and everything. Also, Beer and Bullets. Yes. It's it's out there. So make sure that you're checking out Beer and Bullets and everything. Smash that subscribe button now. So if you're watching us, on live and everything, go to YouTube, smash that subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, follow us and everything. Share our podcasts and stuff. And I want to thank everybody for checking us out. You got anything else to promote here, Alfred, before we get off?
Yeah, just stay with all the new titles and stay with everything that's coming out. We got a big lineup for 2026. Big lineup. Again,
2026 is coming soon.
yeah, it's coming soon. And we have a lot of titles coming out and a lot of action fun for you. So make sure you pay attention to Comicsburgh Comics. Make sure you sign up for that new Kickstarter, Edge Kickstarter, God's Thunder, to be available to get the bonus cover of the Chess Edge Phantoms crossover. That's the only way you're gonna be able to get the bonus cover, limited cover.
And then if you're watching us on YouTube, all the links and everything on how to get there is going to be in our show notes and everything. So make sure that you're clicking on the links. If you're listening to us on podcasts and stuff, like I said, once you get out your car, get out off your headphones, make sure that you're if you're on your phone, go to like our YouTube page, get the show notes, click on the link, and you'll get either Beer and Bullets. You'll either follow the Edge, Kickstarter and everything. You go to Comicsburgh. It's all types of stuff that you can go to and everything to make sure that you're getting everything Comicsburgh related. So, with all that being said, everything, thank you, Paige, for coming out.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate everything. And got any last words before we go?
Also, Footpath, the Dangerous Knights Kickstarter is taking late pledges. So if you have not pledged to that yet, you can still pledge to the Footpath Dangerous Knights Kickstarter. We are taking late pledges, and we still have rewards available.
Hey, that's a beautiful thing. Late pledges. There's still time to do all that, and we'll have, like I said, the link for that as well in like the the show notes and everything for you guys to get. So we at Comicsburgh, we always have it moving. We'll keep it moving. We'll be off next week, for Thanksgiving and everything, but we'll be back the next week. I think it's no
gobble gobble.
Yeah, gobble gobble. Get that turkey and everything.
Gobble gobble. You know what Thanksgiving is? Eat Monopoly and yell at family members you ain't see all year. So yeah, it's a great time.
It's time to get and then get the itis afterwards after you're eating everything.
That's right. That's right. And then have turkey sandwiches for the next week. Or turkey soup, depending on what your mama like to make. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, can't wait. Thank you again, Alfred. Definitely appreciate you coming on here and talking about Beer and Bullets. Thank you guys for watching our show and stuff. We'll see you next week. All right, peace out.